taking our lunch, let's go through Dear Mama. This is a 12th entry written on 27th March of 2020. It begins, Dear Mama, Caris borrowed our neighbor's old Maurice Marina to take me to university. Typical of him, he said we needed to make a grand entrance. He had always had a penchant for drama and was the family comedian. It is no surprise that he had been an active member of Molo Academy's drama club. Our family members had varied interests. I did not know much about T.A.'s hobby, though. She has already over 20 years old when I came of age and spent most of her time in Narok. Sammy was into football and even made it onto Molo youth team. I remember the day he came home waving a newspaper and pointing to a story on sports pages. See, I am in the papers, he told everyone who cared to listen. Appearing in a newspaper was indeed a big deal. If someone wanted to express how significant an incident was, they claimed that it was in the papers. However, the name on the paper was Sammy Owino, not Sammy Ndungu. It turned out that he was slightly overage for the under-17 team. The team coach fielded him, but used someone else's birth certificate. Our Sammy scored twice to win the match, but was never recognized for it. Owino received all the credit in the newspaper. By the time I grew up, Sammy had stopped playing football. Chris was a genius in the family. He was made for greatness in science and innovation and frequently quoted people like Michael Faraday. He had an array of projects in various stages of completion, one of which was a generator he was attempting to build. The most introverted of us all, he spent most of his time reading about physics and working on his experiments, while the rest of us The most introverted of us all, he spent most of his time reading about physics and working on his experiments, while the rest of us were out trapezing and stumbling into the by bushes. As we joined the hundreds of cars queuing to enter the university, I was thinking deeply about Chris. He was the one who deserved to go to university. He had earned good grades throughout secondary school, unlike me, who had fluked my way in. From a young age, Chris had recurrent stomach issues, whose cause remained a mystery to us. Unfortunately, he suffered one of the worst stomach bug attacks leading up to the national exam. He passed well, but not well enough to gain admission in the university. How could a person's entire life be determined by a few weeks of examinations? Hey! Chris brought me back to the present. A guard in a blue uniform was guiding him to the parking on the left, opposite the graduation square, which was far from what Chris wanted. I wanted us to enter the square in style with the marina. The graduation square was filled with hundreds of people and dozens of lines, at the front of which were harassed-looking university officials behind large tables with monitors on top of them. Hours later, we reached the front of the queue. I presented my papers and Caris gave me the fee balance, 8,000 shillings. Where is the rest of the fee? The man asked nonchalantly. What do you mean? Caris asked. That should be okay. As soon as I agreed to join the university, we applied for the university loan and, having proved our needy status, received the maximum loan amount. Apparently, the school fees for the semester was more than that. Confidently, Caris told the official to recheck the cash. The man sighed as if to say, here we go again. Then he pulled out a piece of paper and explained, look, the help loan is divided into 2 installments, each for each semester. The fee for this semester is higher than what's covered, so you need to top up. We were stupefied. He looked over our shoulders, already done with us. Who can we speak with? Caris' voice had now lost its confidence. But I've already told you. What will anyone else tell you? The official retorted. Look, if you don't have money, write a letter to the registrar academics and ask to call off the semester. Next, we stepped aside, crestfallen. What is the deadline for payment of fee? Caris asked. Tuesday, he responded without looking at us. It was Friday. We missed the first registration day because we had to wait for Caris to receive his salary. In fact, this was the only money we had. As you liked to say, front and back. Wah, wah, wah. Caris exclaimed on the way back to the car. What do we do now? We could not raise the balance in 2 days. We were silent as we drove towards Thika Road. Caris must have been wondering what we will tell our neighbors, even after leaving with so much fanfare, announcing to all that I was going to university. I was secretly happy I could go back to my pool playing life, guilt-free. I had tried university and it had not worked. Then Caris had a sudden idea. You need to go and see Uncle Ndungu and explain our situation, he told me. I have to return to the car and then go to work. He had received a special permission to take me to university and would have to work late to make up for the lost time. I went to see Uncle Ndungu at City Hall, where he had worked for over 20 years. We had been there hundreds of times with you, and most of the time, we did not have bus fare to our next destination. He was away for lunch, but his colleagues, who knew me, allowed me to sit at his desk. When he came back and I explained our situation, he kept shaking his head. This is serious, he said. Between me and poverty, I only have 500 shillings. After some silence, he asked, by the way, are you still in touch with the Muguas of Eldoret? Yes, I explained, but the last time I was with them was when I went to show them my KCSE results. Here is my idea. Take the 500 shillings and go to them. See if they can help you. I was on the next Eldoret express bus. The Mbuguas were, as usual, happy to see me and hear an update of my life. I talked about the positive things I was doing, like tutoring my landlady daughter and taking a course in computer programs. I did not, of course, talk about pool games. Then I told them about our predicament, and the Mbuguas asked me to sleep on it and give me feedback on the next day. This is what we will do, he told me. We will top up the cash for you. But this time, it will be alone. You are now an adult, and I need you to be more responsible. You can pay it when you are ready. Is that okay? Once again, the Muguas had saved my education prospects. Your loving son, Kombani. Alright, so we have finished reading, guys. Keep watching our channel, English and Literature Lessons for you. And welcome to our channel. Alright, so we are going to discuss the reflection, the character traits, the themes, and styles. Just wait a little bit. Otherwise, I'm happy to have you really watching my channel, and welcome. Thank you so much. We can now get to the reflection. Of course, the key reflection in this part of the entry is admission to Kenyatta University and failure to actually meet the deadline because of the money. Then, of course, Kombani has to travel to Eldoret to the Mbuguas to get some fee. Alright, when it comes to character traits, we begin with Kombani. Kombani is still shown as loving. Dear Mama, your loving son, Kombani. He is also shown as being very observant. He observes the queues, the hundreds of queues which were entering the university, and how the graduation square was also filled with hundreds of people, and also the kind of distance that the staff who are serving at the university had. Of course, he starts with telling us that when they went to the square and were paying, actually the kind of people who are serving kind of didn't want to address them. They were harassed looking. You realize that? Now, we can also say that he was a bit rigid. Still, he doesn't feel like he should go on with the university. On page 50, he says, I was secretly happy I could go back to my pool playing life guilt-free. I had tried university and it had not worked. Then we can also see the critical aspect still comes out. Kombani tells us that Caris was the drama comedian in the family, and he borrowed the neighbor's car just to get to the university in style. He also observes that whoever deserved to go to university was actually his brother Chris, who had always performed well. And he is a bit sympathetic when he says that a few weeks of examination where he had a serious stomachache had made him lose such a chance. birthday, he is a bit obedient. When the brother tells him to go see their Uncle Ndungu at the city hall, he goes. And when Uncle Ndungu gives him 500 to go to Eldoret at Mbugwas, he still goes, even though he was not happy about going to the university. Now, when we look at Karis is actually dramatic. He didn't have money, but he had to borrow the neighbor's old Maurice Marina to take the brother to the university. We can also say that he is quite sacrificial and benevolent. He had very little money, but he takes the entire salary and gives to the brother as the remittance fee to the university. He's also supportive. He actually accompanies the brother to the university for registration, and he also helps him to apply for help and acquire some money for the university. We also see that Karis was hardworking. He had asked for permission and he was going back to work to extend the hours into the night. When we come to the Mbugwas were very responsible and reasonable. They realized that Kombani is off edge, and they now give him money on loan and tell him they are doing so to make him responsible. They're also generous because anyone could deny, but for them they give him the money. Uncle Ndungu is also generous and very frank. He had only 500 and he gave the nephew, right? He also advises him to go to Mbugwas for assistance. Now let's get to the thematic concerns. The first theme I see here is the theme of family coexistence. Karis is actually just a brother to Kombani, and he sacrifices. He makes sure that he takes his salary, he takes the brother to school, and he even advises him on what to do for him to acquire the chance at Kenyatta University. We also see that we have Uncle Ndungu, who is assisting him with fare to go to Eldoret, and then we see the Mbugwas of Eldoret offering him some money to fill up the fee and on loan. So that is family coexistence. It can also be under support if you wish. Then we have theme of education, because Kombani reminds us about Karis having been an active member of Molo Academy's drama. He also lets us know that Sami Ndungu was a very good footballer in school. And then Chris was very hardworking and performed well in school. And finally, he getting to university at Kenyatta University. We also see both hopelessness and hope. Hopelessness comes where the officer from Kenyatta University tells them they have only 2 days to acquire the money, or he calls off the semester. Then Karis doesn't have anything at all. That is why you are seeing he says wah, wah, wah on page 50. Then Ndungu also doesn't have much. So the only part of hope comes through Mbugwas, because they offer a loan right there. Yeah, we can finish with stylistic devices. In this part of the entry, we still have epistolary mode, because it starts Dear Mama and it ends with Your Loving Son. That is epistolary mode, the letter mode. At the same time, we have irony. Karis doesn't have money enough for the brother's upkeep, yet he borrows an old marina from the neighbor to get in the university with a grand entrance. Again, even after going through all that trouble, we realize that the guards stop them far off. They don't get to the graduation square. So that's ironical. Another irony is that when they thought that they had really gone to university and announced to the neighbors, they are forced to go back to the to wherever they stay. And so Kombani is a bit devastated of what they'll tell the neighbors when they arrive after they had announced that he was going to the university. It's also ironical that regardless of Kombani having seen the pools at the university, he still feels very nostalgic about the pool playing activity back in Gando, and is secretly happy when they are rejected for not having enough fee. You can imagine. Now the other style is we have direct address on page 48. See, I am in papers. Sammy had said it. Then we have another irony, another direct address here. This is what we will do. We will top up the cash for you, but this time it will be a loan. You are now an adult and I need you to be more responsible. Yeah, 51. Another direct address comes, Karis says, Wah. What do we do now? You need to go and see Uncle Ndungu and explain our situation. I have to return the car and then go to work. So all those are direct address, but we also have dialogue. Dialogue happens to be here, page 49. Hey, Karis brought me back to the present. Then, I wanted us to enter the square instead. No, that one is still direct address. But there is a dialogue here between the man who is serving and Karis. Where is the rest of the fee? What do you mean? Then on page 50, here we go again. Look, the help loan is divided into 2 installments, one for each semester. The fee for this semester is higher than what's covered, so you need to top up. Who can we speak with? But I've already told you. Look, if you don't have money, write a letter to the registrar's academics and ask to call off the semester next. When is the deadline for fee payment? Tuesday. Yeah, so that is dialogue. The other dialogue comes on page 51, where there is Ndungu and Kombani. This is serious. Between me and poverty, I have only 500 shillings. By the way, are you still in touch with Mugwas of Eldoret? Yes, I explained. But the last time I was with them was when I was to show them my KCSE results. Here is my idea. Take the 500 shillings and go to them. See if they can help you. Yeah, so that one is dialogue. I have seen a number of rhetorical questions like here. 50, what do we do now? Then there is page 51. You can pay it when you are ready. Is that okay? Then there is another one on page, I saw something on page, was it 49? What do you mean? When Karis asks that. So those are rhetorical questions. I also forgot this irony where Sammy Ndungu scores for the football team, yet it's Sammy Owino who appears in papers. And Sammy comes celebrating only to realize the name is not his because the teacher had used birth certificates for another student. We have local dialect, Thabai, Bushes, page 49. You can see that word there. Then when we come here, we have wa. That is both direct mother tongue, local dialect and idiophone. Wa. Idiophone. I think those are the stylistic devices that happen to be in this entry 12, right? Yeah. So I appreciate all of you. For those of you who are following up on my channel, you are really encouraging me and I'm keeping going. Let's continue because there are so many entries and I had done so much on the other channel, but I realized mixing up things is not the best way. So let's keep helping this channel to grow. Otherwise, have a nice time. Bye bye for you.